Hi, I'm Emily.
And I'm Hayley.
After meeting online, we became international best friends who bonded over how hard it is to find success in the entertainment industry.
Join us and our celebrity co-authors as they help us write the book on how to make it.
And, more importantly, uncover what making it even means.
Hi, my name is Donnie Wahlberg, and I wanted to be a member of a very successful boy band when I grew up.
Oh, shut up.
And an actor. And, on a show kind of like Streets of San Francisco or Hill Street Blues, or if all that failed, a baseball player in the major leagues. And if all that failed, maybe a bus driver. Well, I wasn't going to college. College was never going to be in the equation, so
no,
I could probably drive a bus. And
I always felt bus driving would be quite interesting. Get around.
Not in a major city. Not in a major city. That would be scary.
Well, I
think.
didn't say which type of bus. Could have been a school bus. Could have been a public transit bus. Could have been a Greyhound bus. Coast to coast action. I don't know.
Well, when you retire, my parents live in Florida, and there are retired people who drive little golf cart buses to transport people to and from the beach. That always sounded nice to me.
Yeah, I think maybe a Winnebago or a tour bus that I actually drive. And I'd like to retour the country one time on my own in a tour bus and see all the things, like stop and take in all the things that I never get to stop and take in because we're always just moving in and out quickly, turning around. And usually when we get to a place, it's, a lot of fans. It's we give them the time instead of, I don't take the time to like go sightseeing. I just go meet hundreds of fans and take pictures at the hotel lobby or whatever. Like, it's just, I'm there for them anyway. I'll go back and see the sights when I'm retired.
They'll always be there.
Yeah, the sights will be there. The fans, I got to give back.
Aw, that's very nice.
Like
that
this.
Very nice.
That's how this came about. See, I could have just hit a like button, but I saw you guys talking and I was like, I got to do that podcast.
Donnie, it's so rare as well. It's so rare.
Yeah. You could have been driving a bus right now, but you're not.
Well,
you're talking to us.
What a babe.
I would have been okay driving a bus. I think acting and being in the New Kids has kept me young. It's one thing in the band we do, and we're not a band that like really goes out and does a lot of work. Like, we work out, we stay healthy, we eat well, but guys aren't like getting like, I got jowls and stuff. I have some makeup on from Blue Blood, so I probably look a little smoother than usual, but like, nothing's happening here. Like, it's all, we just, but we always have conversations. Like, we'll say like, what do you think we would look like if we didn't become successful? Because there is a certain thing, like we're still performing, we have to stay in shape, we have to eat good, and we're like, oh man, I'm gonna be on stage every night. I don't want to look like I'm like, there's clips, like you could see like stars when I was a little kid, the stars ages, and like people who were like 40 years old look like an 80-year-old.
Yes.
Like, people used to age so much more, and it could be all the preservatives in the food. It could be a bunch of stuff, but we always have this running thing. Like, what do you think we would look like if we never got famous? Because, see, people talk about my teeth a lot, and they're nice, but
they're good teeth.
They are. But what people don't know is, I did have work done on my teeth because when I was in the 6th grade, my older brother Bob smashed me in the mouth with a hockey stick. And so until 10th grade, I had half teeth. They were all half teeth.
Oh my gosh.
So I literally, like, my mouth is crooked because I talked in the hole where the half teeth were. Like, I would whistle right through the hole. See, that's crooked. So I developed all these things. like with the hole in my teeth. So when I could finally get my teeth repaired, we couldn't afford a dentist, but there was a community dentist who would fix them basically for free. You just had to accept that it was free work and it wasn't really going to be any good. Like there was no reality shows where like you can get a makeover like on
no botch.
Ricky Lake or something, right? We didn't have that, right? There was no, you get a car and you get a car on Oprah. There's none of that. So I went to the free dentist, and over the course of like a year, he root canaled all my front teeth and put cement in my gums and steel posts. And so every time a light would be on, like you could see the gray post. So pictures from all through my early New Kids days, all through my life, there was always like this gray teeth and this really bad veneer job on my broken teeth, which made me at sometimes wish I just kept my broken teeth. But you know, now that I actually had I think it was during COVID, like I couldn't go anywhere. I was like, this would be a good time to get this steel and concrete out of my face and give myself a smile that looks good. So I had to get surgery and do all that. But you know, if I hadn't gotten it, those teeth were real. They were also crooked, and like the replacement teeth were crooked. But I don't even know if I would have been motivated to fix those up a little bit if I couldn't afford it, right? So it was like, I think about like, where would I be? What would my teeth be like? Would I ever even gotten my teeth fixed? Like I was starting a boy band. I knew I needed some teeth. So I went to the free dentist and got whatever I could possibly get. It's like, so we have a thing. That was a really long story to get back to the point of, we do talk a lot about what would we be like? Where would we be in our lives if we hadn't formed this band to become successful? And I just like imagine like my teeth broken, and you know, I'm in pretty good shape. Imagine like the belly, and you know, my dad had a belly. I'd probably have a big beer belly, and like, you look at that. I'd be that guy.
Oh, he stood up.
That would be me.
No, I don't think you would.
I don't know.
I think you've got, I don't know, man. Also, I didn't think the thing I would have in common with you, Donnie Wahlberg, is the whole teeth story, because I've pretty much got the same story as you.
Got hit with a hockey stick by your brother?
Not with a hockey stick, but my bike when I was about 11, and I broke them all, and then I had a bodge job after bodge job. Yes. And then during COVID, I was like, right, that's it. Get them fixed.
Yeah.
Buzzing. And I'm not in a boy band. I don't know if you know.
You're not.
So I think you would have done it anyway, Donnie.
Wow. Maybe.
Not to break up the teeth party.
The teeth conversation.
But Donnie, we would like to bring up 2 random facts about our guests, and I'm really excited about mine because I'm a really big fan of The Masked Singer, and you were on The Masked Singer, and I'm wondering.
Sort of.
Well, you were on stage in a costume on The Masked Singer.
I like to hold on to my I'm a little stuck up about it. I wasn't competing on The Masked Singer. I was a surprise guest.
Yes, which in my book, I would kill to be a surprise guest on The Masked Singer. So I'm wondering what that experience was like for you.
It was tough. It was tough. So I really had to. Jenny and I don't listen to like criticisms. Like if I go in my Instagram and there are 10,000 comments and there's like 2 bad ones, like they're good ones to me. I don't even care. It doesn't bother me. So we just everything is okay. People's opinions are their opinions. It's fine, and I respect them all. As long as they're not hurting anyone, it's fine. Say what you want. It's in terms of how it relates to me, I don't care. But a lot of people think, how could she not know? How could she not know?
Oh.
The things I had to do to fool her, you know, every night she calls me from the panel when they're taping, right before they're about to roll. And she'll FaceTime me. And
oh no.
I know Robin and Nicole really well, and now I know Ken as well, but I knew Robin and Nicole before I knew Jenny. I know them for years. So she'll be like, oh, say hi. And so Robin will say hi. And then Nicole will go, oh, Donnie. So we all talk. So I brought Blue Bloods clothes to LA with me. I flew overnight while Jenny was asleep. I brought I was in the dressing room in my suit at Masked Singer.
No way.
Yeah. So in her mind, she might have thought that's my husband singing. But I just talked to her as Danny Reagan.
Yeah.
Right? And I'd been telling her for a week, like, I got to work this day and I got to work that day. And So I'm sure she said, that sounds like my husband. But ordinarily she would say, well, she would say, she always references me on the show. And I think they told her after a while, you can't guess Donnie Wahlberg every time. Because she'd be like, I think, that's my husband, or that's someone in my husband's band. Like, my name always comes up on the show. And I think they said, tone it down on guessing it's Donnie to the other panelists and your husband. So that combined with me literally just talking to them as Danny Reagan, they didn't know. Where they all might have thought that could be Donnie. They just talked to me thinking I'm in New York. But I also
thoroughly enjoyed it.
The costume was really heavy, very difficult to perform in. I only rehearsed in it the day of. So there was no like try on the suit. Like the first thing I did was rehearse in it and then back produce other things. So the first step I took in the performance, well, I can't really show you here, but literally if anyone watches the performance, the first step I took with my right leg, the claws, the talons, whatever they were, the chicken claws, I took a step and my whole right calf just went pop. And I was like, oh, shit.
What?
But I had to sing and I had to keep going. And I'm like, oh my, and I'm like trying to do all this choreography with the dancers and stuff. It hurt so bad. And if I didn't have on the mask, people definitely would have saw that I was hurting because I'm not good enough to be like, oh my
God.
It was brutal and it was tough. Like Jenny's told me some of the people who perform like are having like panic attacks in their costumes and stuff like that. And I didn't have a panic attack, but I definitely was freaked out. Like it's hard to breathe. It's hard to carry it around. It's hard to perform in it. And I only had to do it once. And I didn't have to like do it a bunch of times. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't practicing all day and doing all this. Like I just came in, did a quick rehearsal at a dance studio in my street clothes, put on the costume and was like, let's go. It was brutal.
Well, I can cross being on The Masked Singer off my list of things to do now.
Yeah. No, that doesn't sound like something you'll cope with well.
They're starting to have non-costume guests, so you can do that.
Oh, what if I just wore like a COVID mask and that was my... Maybe. I don't know. It always just seemed fun to me. All right.
Anywho, so my fact is, I've loved you guys for a really long time. We didn't have a lot of money growing up, so I couldn't afford the proper New Kids on the Block merchandise, but we used to go to the local market and they sold some like wall calendars, but they were a year out of date. So I had like 1991 when it was really 1992 on my wall, but it was fine because you were all there. So it excites me massively that New Kids on the Block are going on tour again.
Yeah.
Tell us about it. Well. What's happening?
Well, I love your calendar story. Yet another thing we have in common.
Really?
Well, I have a book. It's a daily sort of book, but it was for a specific year. But I love the book so much, I keep it by my bedside. And even though it's the wrong year, I still look at the day. So it might say Wednesday, October 9th, but it's actually 2 years later and it's now Friday, October 9th. But I don't care. I love the book so much. Every day I look at the page I'm supposed to read and I read it. And I love it. And it's completely off cycle, but I don't care. One day it'll match up again.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
When I'm about 80, it'll match up. And I'll think of you.
Yeah. Exciting.
I'll think of you. Your kid's calendar must have matched up at some point. It must have matched up again.
Yeah, man. It must have done.
Yeah. Well, back to the tour. The tour.
Back to the tour.
Yeah, we're going on tour again. It's the Magic Summer Tour, 2024. So even though you've been a longtime fan, we never did a Magic Summer Tour over in the UK. This was a US thing.
Nope.
And so we're reimagining the Magic Summer Tour without the magic. The magic will be the fact that we're all still here doing this 34 years later.
Yeah.
And we're still, hanging in there and having a good time and still, indulging and living like kids. I think, as going back to what we were saying earlier, I really do think this keeps us young. I think not just us. When I say us, most times when I say us in terms of new kids, I mean us and our fans collectively.
Mm-hmm.
I think it keeps all of us young. The fans, a lot of times they'll say things like, yeah, you guys are like just the cherry on top. I'm road tripping with my girls to go to 6 concerts. We're going to go have fun. And you guys are just kind of the thing that brought us together, but we're good. Like, we don't need to see you guys. You don't have to worry about taking pictures with us. Like, we're going to just be friends and do the things that we can't do anymore, that we did in high school, but our parents drove us. Now we could drive ourselves. Now we could do all this cool stuff. And they take their kids along, and now the husbands are coming along. It's just turned into this sort of I don't know what the right word is, but this renaissance, maybe is the word. It's just this magical Magic Summer. It's this magical thing where we come out, we go on tour, and everybody just kind of lets go and lets themselves have a good time. And I think, with the pressures that so many of us have and so many people have with work and unemployment and the challenges that so many face nowadays, I take pride in the fact that we can be an escape, that we can be comfort food, if you will, for so many people who need it, and so many fans who had to let go of what they love a lot. When we grow up and we get more responsibilities, we kind of have to put sometimes the things that we're passionate about on the back burner. And I think somehow the new kids have come back and allowed people to say, wait a minute, my happiness is important too. When in fact, in reality, each one of our individual happiness and self-love is the most important thing, right? It's like the oxygen mask on an airplane. If you can't love yourself and feel good and be happy with your life, how are you going to really provide that for anyone else? Or help someone else find that for themselves, right? So it's if we're like part of that oxygen that's coming in that mask for so many fans to sort of celebrate and feel young and free and have a good time again, that's a pretty spectacular thing, and that's, I think, we're performers, we're artists, we're entertainers. I'm an actor. We do other things. Jonathan has a phenomenal bunch of unscripted shows where he does makeovers and renovations and stuff. But, if our legacy is that we provided a space for people to be happy and feel young again, and, and stay feeling young, which helps you stay looking young, that's a legacy I'm proud to be a part of.
Yeah, we sent out I was saying this earlier, but we sent out a fan, ask a question, as we do before we record, and the overwhelming amount of comments we got were for people just saying, can you please just let Donnie know how much he's helped me through dark times, loss of loved ones, depression, things like that. And I'm wondering how, like, are you able to absorb that? I know a lot of people would kind of have, like, I don't know if it's an imposter syndrome, but are you able to like fully absorb that people feel this way about the things that you've done?
I can absorb it. I can accept it. I understand it. I also, though, am very quick to give the credit where it belongs, to the person who's gotten through those times. Right. So I think, and I say this to a lot of fans, and they're like, don't say that, and I'm like, no, you did it. If someone will come into me and say, you got me through my divorce, or you got me through the loss of my dad, or whatever. And, or when I was young, you got me through depression. And I don't mean to diminish anybody's experience or not acknowledge, or it's not that I don't feel grateful. I always say to them, however, you did it. You did it.
Mm-hmm.
And if New Kids was what you chose to lift your spirits in your darkest moment, if listening to this record was what made you come out of a dark space, you made the choice to put that record on. You made the choice to press play on that record. There are times where we don't take that one step to find happy or find peace, right? Whatever it is. It could be reading a book. It could be saying a prayer. It could be listening to your favorite band or a song that brings you back, right? It could be the toughest time in your life. And if you have the strength, because our egos don't want us to find the things that get us through these tough times, right? Our ego wants us to be like, just suffer. And our ego wants to just destroy everything in our lives and have us alone in a room by ourselves. And when we're alone sitting in that room, say, you dummy, look what you did, instead of thanks for listening to me. Look how I got us to end up, right? But if you can let go of that inner voice and you had the strength to do whatever it took in a healthy and productive way to get you through those times, it's important for me to acknowledge that person. So when they tell me that, if they say you did it or you guys did it, I don't mean to diminish them. I don't mean to question their experience or not accept with tremendous gratitude what they're saying. I do. It means the world to me. It also is important to me to let them know that I know that they did it. They were in that room alone. They were the ones suffering and in pain, right? And whatever they were going through, they did whatever they had to get through it, and they're still here, right? So for me, they did it. And if me and my guys are what they leaned on to do it, well, thank you. I'm honored by that. And I think I don't deserve any credit for that. I think they deserve the credit. The person who gets through the struggle is the one who deserves the credit. And I try to give it to them in a way. It's hard in a 3-second conversation. Like, you got me through this. No, you did it. It's like, what do you mean? I just gave you a compliment, Donnie. And it's like, I get it. It is a compliment. It means the world. But that's like self-love, right? That's like self-love. It's like, I'm really depressed right now, and I got to take a walk. I gotta go outside. I got to get some sunlight. I got to do something. Like, I'm really going through a hard time, whatever. That, when you take any step in those instances to get yourself through it, it's hard. It's hard to get out of the bed. Like, I had a battle not long ago, and like, Jenny came upstairs and was like, dude, you got to get out of the bed. Like, you're not yourself right now. Like, get up and come down to the gym with me. And I don't care what you do, but you're coming down to the gym for the next week. Mm-hmm. And it was like, I didn't realize, like, I was kind of in a fog, it was like early 2020 COVID lockdowns. It was just like, I did all this stuff, lives and Zooms, and I just kind of crashed. I just kind of ran out of energy doing so much to give to other people. I kind of ran out of gas for myself. And, I have to do that same thing for me. I have to acknowledge, thank you, Jenny, for waking me up to what I wasn't aware was happening. But also I have to give myself credit. Man, I did get through. I didn't want to go down to the gym. I didn't want to do anything. And, but next thing you know, 5 days turns into a month and I'm still lying in bed, and who knows what can happen. Even for someone who seems to, not ended up being the bus driver that he was going to be. But I would like driving a bus. I used to drive the tour bus on tour. Like, I like driving buses. So
yes, man.
Would have been cool for me.
Well, if we can cut this part, and the next time someone says you helped me so much, you can be like, here, listen to this. I'm trying to say this. I don't have time. And then maybe they won't be like, what are you talking about?
It is the greatest, coolest compliment ever. I mean that.
Yeah.
It means so much to hear that. I don't get any complex or feel special. I genuinely just want people to know, to acknowledge themselves, right? It's okay to acknowledge, yeah, that was a tough time and I got through it. And damn it, I played my new kids. It lifted my spirits up. They're my go-to, but I got through it. That's all I'm trying to say, is just acknowledge yourself that you got through it, because that's love. That's self-love. That acknowledgement is really important, and it will help you get through the next time. Just as much as
absolutely.
a New Kid CD.
That's it. I wanted to talk to you about Band of Brothers, because I think you are outstanding in that, Donnie.
Thank you.
And that whole process must have been
really
quite hard
creaky,
to.
isn't it? Sorry.
Oh, have you got a
Can you hear
creaky
this
table?
creaky table?
Oh, is it?
Okay.
A little creaky.
Sorry, I'm trying to stay still.
You got have a little creaky table.
Getting so excited.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'd really like to speak to you about your role of Lipton, and the responsibility of playing a real life person on screen, and working with him as well. I know you called a lot and such like. What was that like?
I did call a lot. I spoke to him pretty much every day. The whole experience was phenomenal. I lived in London for a year, which was amazing. One of the few times I actually got to really indulge in a place and really get to spend a lot of time there. I got a bicycle and just rode everywhere.
Oh, nice.
And it's one thing to go by Buckingham Palace in a taxi, but it's a whole nother thing on a bicycle, right? When you can just
absolutely,
you take it in the air and you can stop and you can walk around. It's like, it's such a cool place. But it was just a great experience. It was difficult. It was very challenging. I tell people it was like being in the army, but not being in a war. Nobody was getting hurt. Nobody was in jeopardy. But it was, from boot camp on, it was very much like being in the military. Long days, and we stayed in character. It wasn't like someone knocks on your trailer door and says, "All right, Donnie, 2 minutes and we'll drive you to set in a fancy car." It was like, Lipton, round up the first platoon and march them down to the armory, and then get, weapon up, and then march 4 miles down to the forest and get ready to shoot. And we're like, all right. It's like, I knew all the cast by the men they were playing's names. I never we never called each other outside of our names. Some still don't. Some guys still refer to each other as the characters.
No way.
But Lipton was a great man. I love talking to him every night. He would always give me great advice. And even if the scene was like one line and what didn't seem that important, I would ask him things. And he always helped me. There was in the 8th episode, there was one little scene with Colin Hanks was playing this guy, Lieutenant Jones. And I had one exchange with him. And it was written that my character had a cold. Lipton had a cold and kind of told him, just brushed him off. And I called Lipton. I said, "Hey, do you remember Lieutenant Jones?" He said, "Oh, yeah." He said, "Yeah, when I got my battlefield commission and became an officer, I was now an officer. And suddenly I'm with the other officers. And he came in from the States as a new officer in the company. And so him and I were basically the 2 new officers together. And I really liked him. We got along really, really well. We became really good friends. And I only had one exchange with Colin in one scene where I'm playing Lipton. And I thought, okay, so you wouldn't have been rude to him if he showed up asking, "Hey guys, where's, Captain so-and-so," right? And he said, "No, I was really fond of him." And I said, "Okay." So rather than play the line as scripted the next day, I played it helpful. I played it with just a moment of respect between these 2 men. It's the only moment that I had to acknowledge Lieutenant Jones as Lipton, but I did it because he told me that he really liked this guy. So I made sure to acknowledge that and put that in there. It's just subtle. No one would even notice, but it was important to him. And it meant the world to him that I gave him that space to share, and I listened to what he had to say.
I think that stuff really matters as well. I think it will have mattered. I think it's things like that kind of elevates work.
Yeah.
Just the little added things that you don't really think about.
Absolutely. We were at boot camp and Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks came over. And Tom Hanks was in the middle of filming Castaway. And his beard was, down to the floor and his hair was gray and he was emaciated. And him and Steven Spielberg, they came to like the chow hall when we were eating lunch and they gave speeches and they said, do it for the men you're playing. Don't be an ego. Don't do it to make yourself famous. Don't do it to become a star. When you're crawling through a trench and there's fire going on in your head, and that temptation is to look up and get on camera, don't do it the right way. Stay in that trench and, do what they would do and try to stay alive in that moment. Right. And so I really took that to heart and all the guys did. We all took it to heart. And, that speech was so profound. And then getting to know the men helped reinforce that, because we knew the people that were playing. So when Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg are saying, honor these men, honor them. Every decision you make in front of that camera, you honor them and don't do selfish, stupid actor things. Like focus on being a soldier and doing what is the right way to represent them. And we took that to heart. And then getting to know the men, it was like, okay, this is the man they're talking about me representing. So I have to represent him the right way. And that was one of the ways that I did it was by communicating with Lipton and just staying dialed in at all times and, and just really trying to represent them the right way. And the other guys, we all had each other's backs. We all did it too. If somebody was trying to do too much, someone would be like, hey, settle down, Wahlberg. And now there's all these stars. There's all these stars who came out of the show, right? Like, Michael Fassbender, he might have said 10, if he was lucky, 10 lines in the entire series.
Yeah.
He showed up every day, committed and working hard. Like everybody did that. Tom Hardy came on for like, I think 2 episodes. And, and it was at the end and everybody had all these clicks and him and I actually hit it off really, really well. And I think he was a rapper at the time, but I really liked him. And he was young and, you don't know what's going to happen. Like someone's going to become a massive movie stars. Like we're just in this show and just in this, like I'm living in England for a year and I'm at work 20 hours a day with guys from all these different countries in Europe and America. And it's just, so many of the guys, we just hit it off so well. And, and a lot of guys didn't have a lot to do. I was fortunate. I played one of the more impactful roles, but every role was impactful. Every character that showed up came in, and so many guys like the 2 I referenced, Michael and Tom, they put so much into so little. And that is, like you said, Haley, that is why it was so special because everybody gave so much to it. Yeah,
you can really feel it just through it. Hey, do you know what Tom Hardy's famous for over here in the UK?
Well, he really is famous.
What is he famous
but
for in the UK?
He is most famous. And I think if you ask any parent this, there's a children's TV channel called CBeebies, and he reads bedtime stories. And because he's really fit, all the mums like it. And all the children like it because he tells a really good story.
Yeah.
And I think you should Google Tom Hardy's bedtime stories when you come off this call.
I'm doing it.
I think I need to have a kid now.
Why, you sleep? You need someone to read you a bedtime story.
That's
Why not
true.
Tom Hardy?
I always need that.
Google it.
Donnie, you just saved me so much money.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah. Don't rush. Tom Hardy's reading the bedtime stories, whether you have children or not. You can tune in anytime.
I will do that.
And if you can't
Emily,
find
why
it,
are you doing your hair?
I'll have Jordan do a bedtime story on your podcast.
Thank you.
Yes, please. Yeah. Yes.
Wow, making a lot of promises here. Haley, do you want to tell your story about your son leading into our next question?
Oh yeah, okay. So that was a really good segue.
Thank you. I'm a pro.
That was a great segue. Sometimes segues just have to be blunt.
Absolutely.
All right.
Really? Next question.
Next one.
Yeah,
Next
exactly.
one.
Hey, let's
so
move on
this
to
week,
something
Donnie.
else. Yes.
This week, I was having a really important production meeting with quite a high-level client, and it was in my office room. There's a treadmill in the background, and my 4-year-old comes in, starts running on the treadmill. While I'm having this really important conversation, I'm trying to ignore the facts that this child is here, and then his trousers fall down. He's got his bum out. During this whole thing, and then it gets so fast that he just flies off it and bangs into the wall with his trousers down by his ankles. And in that moment, Donnie, I was just thinking, what the hell is my life? What am I doing? Why am I doing this to myself? Why am I pursuing this career? Have you ever had a story like that, Donnie? Like a what the hell am I doing?
It doesn't have to involve your pants falling down.
No, there doesn't need to be any like bums or anything.
I'm sure. Let me think. Gosh, there's got to be so many.
A what the fuck moment, if you will.
Well, early in the New Kids days, there were dozens of, okay, what am I doing? What are we doing? We performed in a prison.
Whoa.
Yeah. Couple times.
That's rock
prisons.
and roll.
3 prisons we performed in. Yeah.
Wow.
That is rock and roll.
And it was definitely like, what are we doing? And my older brother was in one of the prisons at the time.
No,
yeah.
shut up.
Yeah, he was my older brother. I won't say his name, but he's my older brother, and he has a book about it. So it
Donnie.
matter, but, yeah, he was in there, but it was cool. You know, he was trying to get his life together, waltzed behind bars, and said, "Would you come and play with your band in our prison?" And I was like,
"That's wicked."
Okay.
And the first time we played in a prison, you know, we were frightened. And but I smuggled in a box of cigarettes. This is not answering your question at all. I smuggled in a carton.
No, I like it.
Great.
Carry on.
This is great.
We threw all the cigarettes out to the inmates, and they loved it. They were all chanting for us afterwards, and so we got invited back to play the following year for the annual Christmas concert, and we played again in the same prison. Yeah, we got a curtain call at prison.
Oh, that's amazing. This is all very Johnny Cash.
Yeah. But I would say for auditioning in acting, there was many times when I auditioned that I was like, okay, what am I doing? What am I doing? Where I didn't know what I was doing, or I wasn't just prepared, or I would be prepared and the part was already cast with someone else. Like I remember one audition I went to, the casting director, I was going to read for this part. I was totally wrong for it. Physically, everything. It was like a 6'5", 350-pound guy. And here I am, 5'11", if I'm lucky, you know, pretty fit, 180 pounds. And I walk in and I'm like, what am I doing here? And the casting assistant, the secretary or whomever is there working at the front desk, you know, is clearly a New Kids fan who's now doing this. And I realized, like, I am only here to meet her, not to audition for this part. Nobody wants me to play this part. There's nothing I can do on earth to get this part. And I literally left and I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure, you know, because I'm still trying to get the part. I'm like, thinking like, yeah, I can gain weight. Yeah, I'll do it. You know, like, I'll wear big heels. I got this. And convincing myself, you know, and that's what we do when you're acting, is like, until you get to a point where you get really honest with yourself and you say, no, I could never play this part. I'm not going to audition for that. I don't want to talk about that part. When you're first trying to get hired and you can't get hired to save your life, you're talking yourself into every part. I can do this. I am a merman. I don't even need costume. I have real flippers, right? You tell yourself you can do anything. And I auditioned for the part and the casting director was looking at me like, this guy, what is he even doing here? And I walked out and I saw the young lady at the front desk again, and I realized she just said, yeah, send Donnie in. They'd love to see him. And they didn't want to see me. She just wanted to meet me, and she met me. And if it were not that long ago, we would have had selfies, but it was in the mid-90s, so they didn't really exist yet. So I may have taken a photo with her in a different way, but I don't know. She may have had a camera there. I don't recall, but I realized, like, oh my God, I just drove 5 hours from Boston to New York.
Oh.
Trying to like further my career because no one's hiring me anymore. The new kids are broken up. I can't seem to get any job. And I'm literally like a month away from being on Where Are They Now? I was like, this is terrible. This is
driving
terrible.
A bus.
Drive Jay.
Driving a bus.
I was going to get that bus.
Get on that Greyhound.
That was it. I was like, literally, I was a month away from buying a tour bus and driving around and hiding on my bus and growing a beard like Tom Hanks in Castaway. Just pop up in different towns. There's that sight I never saw. All right, back on the bus.
That took a turn.
Look, that's what a tumbleweed looks like up close. Who knew?
Oh my gosh. Stand-up comedy might also be in your retirement phase too. So now that you have found success in acting as well as with music, what would your definition be of what making it means?
It's a great chance for Donnie to get all mystical again instead of just saying simple things.
We always get crazy answers. So you're not alone if you get mystical.
Making it okay, because something that I was just saying about acting and auditioning and being honest with myself and realizing, okay, no. I can't play this part, right? I would say making it, there's two different ways of making it, right? So making it when I was a kid, when I was 15 years old and I was the only member in the New Kids on the Block. There was no New Kids on the Block. It was me going to the studio to record and trying to recruit kids around Boston to join the band with me. Making it would have been like being able to buy a scooter or a moped, right? Like making enough money to have some cool sneakers and a cool kit, a leather jacket and some jeans and a moped or a scooter that I could drive around and like drive down to the beach and be like, hey girl, what's up? Like, you want to ride? Like, that would have been making it, right? The guy at the pizza shop down the street saying, hey, Donnie, come in and have a slice on me. Like, that's what I thought making it was, being played on local radio.
Yeah.
Making it, then I thought, as we started to become successful, would be like, winning awards and doing this stuff. It's none of that. It's none of those things. It's being able to appreciate the journey and the process, right? And to get through those moments, Haley, where it's like, why am I doing this? Right? To get through those those moments are those are the journey. Those are what you remember, right? You didn't talk to me about the great times that happened in the rest of that meeting. You talked to me about the lowest moment of the meeting, right? So your child fell on the treadmill, right? It's like, that was the low, yeah, with his bum out. That was the lowest moment, right, of your journey, and yet it's the one you remember. It's the one you'll talk about. It's the one you're sharing, right? It's the journey is so magical if we can just let it be, right? Learn from the lows, appreciate the highs, and just keep moving forward on the path. And it will deviate. It will take detours. You will think you're going one way and realize, wow, I was going totally backwards for the last 2 months. And somehow going backwards will now advance you in ways that you didn't foresee, right? It's, success is great. Being able to, I went to the basketball game in Boston yesterday to see the Celtics. I sat in the front row and with Jordan Knight, and they put us on the Jumbotron, and like everyone clapped. Everyone cheered for us, right? It was really awesome. It's like, you know, there was a time when everyone would have booed us. It's really sweet. Yeah, there is. It's part of growing. It's part of being in a boy band and part of growing up and maturing. And honestly, once I stopped caring if they booed me is when they stopped booing me. Honestly, that's just a life lesson. It's like when you stop worrying about the negative kind of ceases to exist. Challenges will still occur, but the negative becomes less of a problem for you. But it sounds cliche and it's easy for me to say, like I couldn't have afforded to fix my teeth 30 years ago, right? And now I can. It's a luxury, you know. And I was saying, like, when we joke as the guys, we joke about what would I look like if I wasn't famous, you know. I'd have no more hair and I wouldn't have cared. I wouldn't have taken the steps to put all this amoxicillin or whatever the hell you put on your hair. Like I would have done all these steps to stay young looking, right? I would have just aged because I couldn't have afforded to do anything else, right? So that's all great. I don't want to make it sound like if you're not successful and able to pay your bills and take care of your family and do things, you know, it's hard for people to absorb these cliches or take them at face value, right? It's like, it's easy for me to say the journey is what it's all about, right? That is the success. The journey, the process is the success. You know, it's easy for me to say that when I'm in a dance studio with the new kids. I'm going to perform on Kelly Clarkson tomorrow and I'm going to have someone drive me in an SUV back to my condo, right? It's easy to say that. And I respect people who roll their eyes at me saying it's the journey, but in any facet of life, it is the journey. You know, my mom was successful, you know, and she worked nights in a hospital and she cleaned floors in a bank overnight. She used to take the subway to work at 9 p.m., you know, and come in at 7 when we were all leaving to catch the school bus to go to school. She'd be coming in and we'd hope she got there before we left so we could give her a hug because she was like our angel. And, you know, she was successful. And it's not because Mark and my brother Paul is a successful chef, and she's successful because she did the best job she could with the least at her disposal. She worked through every challenge. She probably wanted to jump off a bridge dozens of times, but kept fighting the fight. And, you know, she lived to see her children, even the one who's a bus driver, grow up and become productive people and care about their families and you know, and she got to see that. And so her life is more successful than mine will ever be and more successful than Mark's will ever be. And I think some of my siblings who've been through crazier stories than you've ever heard of Mark or myself going through, they've been through way worse than us. You know, to see them now with families and children and being great parents and spouses and stuff, their success is way more important than mine. And I hope they know that, you know. And so I think anybody who is just taking on the challenge of getting through each day and finding a way to get through life and meet all the crazy challenges that life has to offer. If you're still chugging along and still making it happen in whatever endeavor it is, to me, that's success.
That's lovely.
Sorry, it's
no,
she
that was
taught you that work.
wonderful.
She taught you that work ethic, Donnie.
What's that?
Your mum, she taught you that work
ethic.
Of
course, absolutely. And it was great, and that's another reason she was so great and such a success. You know, she loved chopping us down to size. You know, if Mark or I came in the house and you get over here and grab me by, get over here right now. I'm still your mother. You just sit down and shut up. You know, she never stopped being her. And I'm talking when I was 40 years old, she did that. I'm not talking about when I was 22, like new kids. The one funny thing she did, the one thing where she really broke though, where I really broke her, I got my first tattoo. And she pierced me and Jordan's ears, by the way. Jordan and I were 16. We weren't, our producer and manager were like, you can't get earrings, you can't do any of this stuff. And me and Jordan were like, we're getting our ears pierced. It was like, so my mom did it. She took a needle and pierced both of our ears in our old kitchen. That. Yeah, me and Jordan. I think it was just me and Jordan. And she pierced our ears, and we were screaming and yelling, and we were like, yeah, we did it. And we had so much fun. And but then I pierced my nose. I pierced my ear five more times, all up and down. I had all these piercings, and she was like, what are you doing? Stop doing that stuff to your body. And I was like, oh, leave me alone. I'm like 21. I'm on tour or whatever. And then I got a tattoo. And I remember we were at Dodger Stadium, and I was introducing her to Lionel Richie because she loved Lionel Richie. Loved. And so Lionel Richie's backstage, and I got my tattoo, and she hasn't seen it yet. It's all got the gel on it so it doesn't leak or whatever. And so I walk over, I go, Mom, I got Lionel Richie's here. Come meet Lionel Richie. And he's standing next to me, and she goes, what the hell is that on your arm? And I was like, what? It's a tattoo. And she's like, you son of a bitch. I'm like, you can't say that. Do the math on that. You can't say that to me. That doesn't add up. Don't do the math on that. Don't do the math, reaction. Anyone out there. Yeah, your moms can't call us that. It doesn't add up. I don't think they realize what they're saying when they say that. Anyway, sorry. So she goes, what is that? I goes, it's a tattoo. And look, it's right there. It's your initials. Right there. It's Dad's initials, and there's yours. And she goes, okay, fine.
That was me recently. I got my dad's handwriting, and I just walked in, and it's my fourth tattoo, but I was like, it's Dad's handwriting, so you can't be mad.
That's
and
right.
It went better than the other ones did.
Yeah, see, now, and of course, my mother, I think she turned 60, maybe 70, and she got a tattoo on her lower back.
There you go.
Did she?
What do they call those?
A Trump stump.
Trump stump.
A Trump stump.
Trump stump.
Is that what I sound like, Donnie?
Say it again.
A Trump stump.
Trump stump.
How fun.
I am delighted.
Yeah. My English accents are all bad.
It was excellent.
I did one on set the other day, and they said, what are you doing? Like Alabama? What is that? What is your accent?
Donnie, if you had to, and you can think on this one too, if you had to sum up your career so far in a chapter title, so we've had everything from please tell me the catering's good to that's good enough. What would, or we also had falling back in love with your art. Like, what would your chapter title of your career be?
For when we make this into a book.
Oh, Haley.
Are you gonna edit out this long pause that I'm
Yes.
I edit think of this
I edit down to the wire, so you do not have to worry.
Gosh. What is my chapter title? Okay.
The wheels on the bus.
We don't make this easy, do we?
It's all gonna be all right, baby Donnie.
Oh, that was great.
Stop being so good at this.
I know.
No, I know. But now I'll step outside and like roll my ankle and break my leg. Cancel the tour. Yeah, no, I keep getting looked at by my manager, by the way, to get me out of here. But let me continue with this because I just want to explain it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I try to stay very much in the present. I try not to worry about the future. I try not to dwell on the past. But I because of the journey I've been on, because there are so many moments, and I've been with my bandmates forever, and now I've been on Blue Bloods for 14 years.
Yeah.
There are so many times now, and you know, I'm 54. I'm going to be 55 in the summer, and I know I don't look it, but I'm on my way.
What?
Yeah, that's the Leo in me came out.
Yeah, man.
There are so many times I do have to think back, you know, and reflect and just say, wow, like it's just, even in my career, where my career has gone, all the different things, you know, it's even after success at a young age, when you're successful at a young age and it stops and you're like 22 and it's like, okay, everybody loved me a week ago. Now I can't sell a ticket. I can't do anything. I can't get a job. It's like, and all you can foresee is like, okay, well, here I go. Right. It's like, you hear those tales. And we've got so many stories of like, you're going to be like this band, this teen band that crashed and burned, and this one. That's all anyone would say every interview. It's like, are you going to be like those other bands that were famous when they were 15 and then they're all on drugs and broke? It's like, and there are moments when it feels inevitable, right? That will happen because I can't create any momentum for myself anymore. But beyond that, going through a divorce and becoming a parent at a young age, and the fear, the anxiety that I had in becoming a dad for the first time, and going all the way back to my childhood, like being a very nervous and anxious kid who loved life and was very happy a lot of the times. But when it got heavy, like, in my childhood home and the chaos that existed there, sometimes it was like, there have been many points in my life where I just didn't know if it was all going to be okay. And in reality, each of those times, it was really me feeling what baby Donnie felt. 38-year-old Donnie getting divorced and not knowing where the hell his life is going to go, and what's going to happen to the relationship with my children, and all just so much fear, right, wrapped up in that process. And it's like, in that moment, when we're going through trauma in present day, so many times it's really, we're tapping back into the trauma that we had as a child. Right. And so many times why we don't handle trauma well is because we resort to the things that helped us survive as a child. It's like, I used to go hide in a closet or lock myself in the bathroom and flush the toilet till my mom would finally come and say, who's just flushing the toilet 80 times? And all I want to do is get a hug because there's too many kids in the house and my dad's yelling at my mom, and I just needed a hug. Right. So then I find myself, now I'm like married to Jenny, and like we have the greatest relationship, but it's like suddenly I'm in the other room with the door closed and I don't want to come out. And she's like, what are you doing? And I was like, and a light bulb goes off. It's like, I'm literally sitting in the bathroom like I did when I was 8. I'm waiting for you to come in here and give me a hug and help me out of this mess. And it's like, we revert back to that, the trauma of our inner child so much throughout our lives, and we don't even know it. Somebody looks at us a certain way, someone that we love and care about, they give us a look and it feels like we don't even process, but it's like, oh, I'm actually reacting to the way my dad looked at me back then, and now I'm projecting it into this situation, right? And it's like, all those times when trauma comes up for people, when struggle comes up, when difficult times, and we don't know if we're going to get through and we don't know where we're going to end up, it's like, somehow if we just persevere, we always come out okay, right? And so to me, that message would go all the way back to baby Donnie, and that's just going to be all right. And again, I say this not knowing what tomorrow brings. The worst thing in the world could happen. I don't know. I just hope that I take all this years of experience and handle it better than I would have if it happened 10 years ago. That's about it.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm like, this has been incredible.
I've teared up about 5 times.
Oh,
come on over there in Leeds. No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
You look
but
chuffed.
really,
You look chuffed.
I am chuffed. I'm very chuffed.
We made this podcast not just for other artists, but for ourselves, to interview people we admire and get words of wisdom and to motivate us and our listeners to keep going. So this has been like just incredible. So thank you so much for your time. And I sent merch with the equipment, so make sure you get the hats and the mugs.
Oh, you're in California, right?
I'm in LA, yes.
Yeah. We'll be out there soon, and hopefully we'll see you, and feel free to come to the concert. Haley, come over. I don't know when we're going back to the UK, but come over to a concert.
I'm coming.
Be our guest. Both of you guys, be our guest, and come
Let's
backstage
go.
and say hi. And,
Let's go.
You guys too, just know, like, your podcast, like, look at she's, oh. See,
Stop it. Carry on.
It's all gonna be all right. It's all gonna be
It's
all
all
right.
fine.
Isn't it all gonna be all right? Come on, I want to cry too. Stop.
No, stop it.
You wouldn't be the
Well, I'm
first
gonna-
guest we made cry, but
Well, I might be the first guest. Megan, you cry, so that's great. But
That is
you
true.
guys too, just know, like, you guys, like, your light shines bright. It shines bright. You know, I know you, like, you want guests to come on who can say things and you know, help just be a voice for inspiration, or, you know, just positive energy, and you guys radiate that. So thank you. You know, it's like I saw your Instagram, and like it just resonated so much, and it was like, it's just awesome. Like it's, and
Aw.
you know, don't worry about the baby falling on the treadmill with its bottom out. His bottom was out. What is he like? His entire bottom was out.
Ozzy Osbourne.
That's as good as
just
I can get. That's as good as I can get. I don't even know what part of a British accent that is.
That
like,
was
This is
surreal.
potentially the greatest moment of my life.
all right.
I
Well,
am
in any event,
sweaty.
you don't know what someone's going to see of you and what it's going to mean to them. You just don't know. So it's like those fans who send the message, thank you for helping me get through a bad time. You know, you just don't know who's going to stumble across what you're doing and what it's going to mean to them. And it meant enough for me to want to be here and surprise you with Jordan also. And
Shocking.
so
Love
yeah,
him.
so keep going. So keep on going and cherish the journey, because it looks like you all are having a wonderful time despite the bumps and bruises and bums. But keep
Bums.
going, because it's really awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Donnie.
you
You
so
keep
much.
going too.
All right. I'll see you soon.
One day you'll get that bus.
You
That's
can do
right.
it.
I'm going to get it. I'm going to get that bus.
They're gonna be like, do you remember the Home Improvement show where they were like, move that bus, and then
Mhm.
it would. You just
Yeah,
are gonna
I
be
can
like,
do that.
can I keep the bus?
Yeah. No, I just want to move it. I'll move it and that, like, because then I can have a bus and still be on TV, because I don't really know how to do much else.
There you go.
There you go.
All
It's
right.
all sorted.
All right. Well, we'll
Right,
see.
you're
you at
allowed
the-
to go now.
We'll see you at the show.
I look forward to it. Thank you so much.